Alright guys, so here's reason number 268 why Joe Burrow deserves to be Heisman this year. See, in 2002, Joe Burrow at age 6 attended the Rose Bowl. Now, let me tell you a little story about Joe Burrow.
All right. We're not even talking about LSU this
Vote
week.
Joe Burrow for Heisman. No.
Welcome to Week 12 of Tiger Pick'ems on MUTV 23. I'm Jack McGrath alongside J&J, Angelo, and Thomas Zaffalon. We have a great show for you today featuring some primetime college matchups. We're going to start off with Navy at Notre Dame, a ranked matchup, and the first time this matchup has been ranked since 1978. It's going to be a chilly one in South Bend. Temperatures may dip below freezing. Notre Dame is favored by 9 points. I personally do not see them covering the spread in this one. I actually have them losing this one. They have some tough injuries on the defensive side, facing a very tough running game led by quarterback Malcolm Perry of Navy, who has over 1,000 rushing yards and 16 rushing touchdowns. I have Navy in this one. I think they control possession, win 24-21. Thomas, what are your thoughts?
Both Notre Dame and Navy are coming off of big blowout losses. Notre Dame against Duke.
Loss or win?
Wins. I apologize. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Both Notre Dame and Navy are coming off of huge blowout wins. Notre Dame beat Duke and Navy beat UConn, I believe. Notre Dame's going to be focusing mainly on Navy's triple option, led by Malcolm Perry, but Navy's defense has been a key part to their success this season, and it's one of the big reasons why they're 7-1. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Notre Dame's offense, led by Ian Book, who had a huge game, 100 yards passing, 100 yards rushing against Duke, but I think it's going to be close. I have Notre Dame scraping by 21-18.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a bit of a frustrating year for Irish fans everywhere. This is going to be a frustrating game. We've been talking about him, said him 2 times. I'll say it again. Malcolm Perry, their quarterback, #1 rushing quarterback in the nation. And Notre Dame just lost their top defensive end, Julian Okwara. Malcolm Perry is going to give this defense some fits, a couple nightmares maybe. It's going to be first time in a while where Notre Dame is going to have to rely on their offense to win this game. The offense is going to live and die by the Ian Book to Chase Claypool connection. It's been showing up here and there increasingly more. I think it's going to definitely be a close one. I like Ian Book's confidence since the comeback against Virginia Tech. It's going to be a slugfest. I have Notre Dame winning this one 18-16.
All right, so our next game, a Big Ten matchup. Minnesota coming off a big win against Penn State, facing off against Iowa. So bringing up Iowa's last game, Wisconsin ran all over the Iowa defense. Running back Jonathan Taylor ran for over 250 yards. And we mentioned that, and then Minnesota has a much more balanced offensive attack than Wisconsin does. Minnesota's a better team. They're led by quarterback Tanner Morgan. They have a very decent running back in Rodney Smith. And for that reason, they are legit contenders. So I believe they travel to Iowa, defeat the Hawkeyes in a hostile environment. I see the Gophers winning this one 44-35. Thomas.
So the Gophers are riding high after that comeback against Penn State, the big upset win. And now Iowa is throwing their hat in, seeing if they can end this undefeated Cinderella season, trying to stop any playoff hopes. So far, the story of the Gophers season has been excellent offense. Tanner Morgan is 4th in the country in passing efficiency, 1st in the Big Ten. They've got 2 legit #1 receivers on any other program, which are Tyler Johnson and Rashad Bateman. And I think it's for that reason that they're going to absolutely shred that Iowa defense, specifically the secondary. And it's going to be 45-21 Minnesota.
All right, yeah, we always like to mix things up here on Tiger Pick'ems, but it's really hard to pick against the Golden Gophers in this one, especially against that win against Penn State, which I believe propelled them into legitimacy for a playoff contender. Minnesota, their defense is just as good as their offense. Let's not forget about that. They held Penn State to their 2nd lowest point total of the season and 11 below their average for the season. D-back Antoine Whitfield Jr. was not only the Gophers' leading tackler against Penn State, he also picked off a relatively mistake-free Sean Clifford 2 times. They're facing up with definitely a step down at quarterback with Nate Stanley. I expect them to frustrate the Iowa offense and win this one 38-13.
All right, moving from the Big Ten to the SEC. Auburn, coming off a bye week this week, has yet to lose a game at home this year. They go up against Georgia, Georgia traveling to Auburn. This game's at Jordan-Hare Stadium. It is a rivalry matchup. It's basically a win-or-go-home for Georgia in terms of the college football playoff. If they lose with this one, they basically have no chance. I think they lose their college football playoff chances this week. I think Auburn beats them 35-31.
You are right about this game. This game really could knock Georgia out of playoff contention completely, but I do think that loss against South Carolina is what is going to do it for them, just kick them out entirely. But anyways, you are right about Auburn being undefeated at home. Their defensive line is incredibly talented, and I think it's for that reason they're going to be able to stop a guy like DeAndre Swift. But I think this is going to be Jake Fromm's day. I think he's going to pick apart that secondary, like I was saying earlier with Minnesota. And it's going to be Bulldogs 31-21.
All right. As much as these teams have haven't had to rely on QB play, rather they've been able to rely on their stellar defenses. I think this one is going to come down to which quarterback plays better. Seasoned quarterback Jake Fromm and freshman quarterback Bo Nix have surprisingly similar stats, which I don't know if is a compliment to Nix or kind of a diss on Fromm in the season he's having. I think both are going to have to step up the game for sure. And I actually think the freshman outplays Fromm and the Bulldogs. I got the Tigers winning this one 28-21.
All right, so control of the Big 12 at stake as the 10th-ranked Oklahoma Sooners take on the 12th-ranked Baylor Bears. So Baylor is coming off a triple overtime win against a sub-500 TCU team. Game was tied 9-9 before that went to the first overtime. Baylor's defense is actually pretty good for a Big 12 team, ranked 31st in the NCAA. So not a bad defense, and they also have a pretty good offense led by quarterback Charlie Brewer, who has thrown for over 2,300 yards this year. I don't think Oklahoma is able to stop them, so I have Baylor winning this one 52-45.
Yeah, I think the big thing here is going to be, can Baylor keep doing what they're doing and taking advantage of their opponent's mistakes? However, I feel like this is going to be the game where we see this sloppy streak from Oklahoma end. I think we're going to see Jalen Hurts the same way we saw him at the beginning of the year. I think they pick up the run game again. I've got Oklahoma in this one, 41-35 in Waco.
I feel like this one, for the first time in a long time, we got a really good Saturday night matchup coming up with Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit, two of the best to really take the booth, in my opinion. I think it's going to be a classic Big 12 battle where we don't see a lot of defense. Defense is going to be very much non-existent in this game. Don't be surprised if Jalen Hurts runs for 100-plus yards, maybe even throws for 400 yards. But it's Big 12. We're in the South, Midwest, whatever the Big 12 is, and offense reigns king. Charlie Brewer has been great. Baylor offense has been prolific. Last week was a fluke as far as I'm concerned, and I think Baylor wins this one 55-51.
So you're talking a little bit about this before the show. So I have a question for you guys. If Baylor goes undefeated, do they make the college football playoff?
It's really situational. It's going to depend a lot on whether Bama wins the Iron Bowl or not. And then if Georgia wins the SEC championship, those are the kind of implications where we'll see a team like Baylor get into the playoff.
Interesting.
I think even if they win out, they don't make the playoff. I think just on the eye test alone, there's some better one-loss teams than Baylor right now. It's tough to decision. Playoffs definitely got to go to 8 teams. This year, Baylor's not going to make it.
All right, so we're going to bring it back to Columbia for the first time in a while for our last game. Missouri is taking on Florida. Kelly Bryant is coming back, which may help to spark the Missouri offense. Mizzou has yet to lose a game at home, which all builds up to a close game, but not a win for Missouri against a talented Florida team. I have Florida winning this one by a score of 35-21.
We're back at home, finally. We are undefeated at home. The Tigers are undefeated at home. We finally have Kelly Bryant back. I think we get rolling again, and then you guys both know, once the Missouri Tigers get rolling at Faurot Field, there's no stopping them. I've got Missouri winning this one close, 28-21 over Florida.
Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but I truly think Mizzou is going to beat Florida this week. Tigers obviously love playing at home, and Kelly Bryant is coming back with a vengeance. He was sat on a game time decision by medical staff. Wasn't too pleased with it. And I think he's bold pick here. I think he's going to throw for 300-plus yards. Larry Roundtree's going to get it going on the game. Tyler Beatty's going to score a couple touchdowns. That being said, I think Barry Odom's job is very much on the line with this one. If it's an embarrassing loss, which it could be another fourth consecutive loss, we might see Odom gone after this year. But I think Bryant's going to step up. Barry Odom's going to step up. They're going to play for the quarterback, play for the coach. And I think Mizzou is going to win this one 31-27.
Wow, so a couple of bold predictions to close out the show, because that's going to do it for us here at Tiger Pick'ems on MUTV 23. I'm Jack McGrath for J&J Angelo and Thomas Zaffalon. We'll see you later.